Thanks for checking into the State of Basketball Podcast, episode 20. I'm Adam Miller, and I'm here with Jaron Will each and every week, and we're going to be bringing you the news and notes on all 11 Division I schools in the state of Indiana, because in 49 states,
it's just basketball. So before we get into the show, just as a reminder, if you like the podcast, whether it's, you listen to it on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever,
come
podcast
back.
Streaming service.
Come back. Listen again, please.
Yeah. Or, you watch on YouTube. Just remember to like the show, subscribe on YouTube. Any support that you guys can give us or gals can give us, we appreciate it. It helps the show grow. Share it with a friend, someone you think might enjoy our content. We grow every week, and we're hoping to continue that.
Yeah, we've got some new content cooking. What are we doing, Jaron? What's coming up?
So Selection Sunday is on the 17th, St. Patrick's Day to some folks, but to us, it is Selection Sunday. And we're doing a live show. So we are going to be, Adam and I will be watching and listening to the Selection Sunday show. We unfortunately won't be able to actually show the broadcast on our live stream, but we're going to be giving reactions, talking about, the matchups that they're announcing, the seedings as they come out. And we're really excited. So we're not going to have a pre-recorded episode that week. We'll just re-promote the live show, on Monday morning like we usually do. We are going to convert that into audio, so we'll still publish that out Monday morning for the audio only version. But we're excited. We're going to be live on our YouTube channel and on our Twitter.
Yeah, we'll simulcast it so you can see it wherever you want. So those of you who just follow us on Twitter, hopefully that'll come across your feed. If you're looking for someone to celebrate with when the Sycamores make it in, we will be those people for you. So we are excited. Our first time really going live. We did something live, but our first time like doing a episode live, I guess, like a real episode live.
Yeah,
so
yeah. It'll be a lot of trial and error. We'll have, Adam and I will both have our laptops up. One of us will be monitoring the YouTube chat feed, and the other will be on the Twitter chat feed. So we'll still be able to interact with you, as you send chats in if you're watching. So really looking forward to seeing how it goes. Fingers are crossed that there's no hiccups, but just keep that in mind. It's the first time is not always seamless. We experienced that earlier last week with a Twitter Spaces that we did. It was a rocky start, but we got it figured out, and we were cooking afterwards.
We had it they had us in the first half, not gonna lie, but we did get through. I'm thinking, the selection show is at 6, so unless the Big Ten tournament finals goes long, it should premiere right around 6. So maybe we'll go live 5:45-ish, 15 minutes. That'll give us time to get people in here and maybe talk about just what happened in the 3 tournaments we have going on this week.
Yeah. So we'll definitely be promoting it on our social media channels, specifically Twitter, just giving reminders to everyone. So just keep an eye out, bookmark the tweet so you don't forget.
Yep.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We think it's going to be real fun to, live react as we find out about the selections, and we'll probably make a State of Basketball bracket together on the show as well.
But some other things that happened this week. So before we get into our Indiana D1 stuff, Trine, repping Trine with my hat, my alma mater. Trine won in the Sweet 16, dominant fashion, but won by 21 points, and then they won in the Elite 8 on a buzzer beater in overtime, step back, mid-range jumper. You love to see it. So they are actually headed to the Final Four. That's a Thursday, Saturday. So that's coming up. So by the time we have our live show, Trine will either be national champions or they won't. So we'll know. And that's just really exciting. They've never been to this point before, and they never had to leave Northern Indiana. So they had their first 4 games at home, and then they get to go down to Fort Wayne for like 45 minutes away and play in the Final Four and hopefully the national championship game. So shout out to the Trine Thunder for that.
Yeah, yeah, and we have another shout out. I mentioned it with our the Twitter Spaces that we did this past week, but shout out to Elliot Crow of Bracket Busters on Twitter. That's B Busters Hoops. We went live. We talked through Arch Madness. We did a little preview. We built a bracket together. The three of us, Adam, myself, and Elliot. And so we thought it was great. We had a great time, chopping it up, talking about Arch Madness. And we also want to give a special thanks to everyone that joined and listened along with us. It was fun. It was definitely a fun way to talk about the Missouri Valley Conference tournament.
Yeah, Elliot's Elliot of Bracket Busters is a great guy. If you like mid-major basketball, he keeps you plugged in, keeps you up to date with what's going on with the mid-majors. So give him a follow if you don't already. But Jaron, let's go into our final Week 18, our final power rankings.
Yes, this is our final power rankings of the season. We just felt it was a good way to kind of cap off the season, right? Not all of these teams will be playing anymore. A lot of these teams are done for the year. So we just thought this is like the final amalgamation of where we are teams wise this season. So
yeah, and we could be in. I mean, it's unfortunate to say, but based on how things broke this week, we could be in a situation where after this week, Purdue's the only team who keeps playing.
Yeah.
So we only have 4 teams that are still going to play this week.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
and they're pretty solidly in their spots. I mean, they're 4 of the top 5, and the number 2 team went to the championship game of their own.
Yeah.
So it just wouldn't really make sense, especially with most of our teams being done. So this is our final power rankings of the season. So the next time you see us rank these teams will probably be the preseason. And
yeah.
we will be incredibly wrong on them.
Yeah.
So
it's but we'll we might do some other rankings throughout the off season for different things. Maybe we rank mascots, maybe we rank arenas, things like that. But as far as team play goes, our final rankings are as follows. Number 11, IUPUI. Number 10, Southern Indiana. Number 9 is Valpo. Number 8, Ball State. Number 7, Purdue Fort Wayne. Number 6, Evansville.
Gotta win. Gotta win this week.
They did get a win this week. Number 5, Notre Dame. Number 4, Indiana.
Rolling. 4 in a row?
4 in a row. 4 in a row. Number 3 is Butler. Number 2, Indiana State. Number 1, Purdue.
Every time.
Yeah.
They ran the table.
They did run the table. It's
which is unsurprising. I mean, when you have the National Player of the Year, you have the best resume in the sport. Like, everyone expected you to be this good. You were as good as we expected you to be.
Yeah. It doesn't shock me, to be honest.
Not even remotely.
And what we'll do is, throughout the next few weeks, we'll put out our normal power rankings graphic and videos on social media. But throughout the next couple weeks, we'll also put out a couple graphics that kind of show, each week, all 11 of these schools will show what they were each week. So you can kind of see a look through time, starting from week 1. We'll also put one specifically, where did they start based on the preseason, and then where did they end as of now. So a variety of different graphics we'll put out just to kind of celebrate some of the successes, and also, unfortunately, some of the shortcomings of some of these teams throughout the season. Yeah,
we're going to be doing a lot of, obviously, like, college basketball content starts to run dry, in the off season, but Indiana basketball content has diminished because of just the number of teams that we have left playing. But I think the next time we'll touch on, like, these power rankings for these teams in the state of Indiana will probably be after the tournament, and we'll say, okay, preseason, our prediction was this team was number 1. They were at the end of the season this point. So kind of talk about how right or how wrong we were. But we'll have a whole bunch of off-season content coming at you. So we'll be talking about this stuff later. But let's talk about our next team for, I guess, the last time in this fashion, the last recap week.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So let's talk about Ball State for um the last recap. So they went 1-1 this week. They went 15-16. They went 15-16 for the season and 7-11 in the MAC this year. So that's finished ninth in the MAC, and unfortunately, that does mean that they did not make the MAC tournament. So if they finished eighth, we would be talking about them on the next show because they would be playing in the MAC tournament. Unfortunately, they did not quite get there. They won at Kent State 76-69, so things were looking up like it was going to happen. And then they lost at Bowling Green 80-70. And Davion Bailey got injured at practice and did not play in their final game. And that's kind of where it ended, It just, you just couldn't get there. You had to have you had to have kind of like a miracle situation happen where you break a 3-way tie.
Yeah, and I want to give a huge shout out to Mick Tidrow. He's a good friend of mine, but we talked about it, the different hypotheticals that needed to happen on our last show. We went to Twitter to confirm with people inside the Ball State program, right, just to make sure that we weren't crazy. We were understanding the tiebreak rules. And Mick, like I said, a good friend of mine. He is the radio and TV voice of the Cardinals, so an insider by as much as an insider can be. He helped us out. He verified what our thinking was. So if you do follow Ball State in any capacity, from an athletic standpoint, give him a follow. His Twitter handle is at Mick Tidrow. It's MICKTIDROW.
Yeah, so I guess won't really see any change down this low in KenPom other than, some conference tournaments still going on. Might be some little shakeups, but as of right now, it seems like they're going to end the season at 267 in KenPom. So we'll talk about where they started, where they ended on a later date. But that's Ball State. Unfortunately, their season has come to a close, so just couldn't make it. Jalen Anderson had a good 22 points, and they almost erased a 13-point deficit in the Bowling Green game, but Ball State could not get over the hump. They got to trail by only one with 5 minutes left, but fell and lost that game by 10 points. So our next team that we're going to talk about is Butler again. So their season is not done because they're in the Big East, and the Big East tournament has not quite started yet. So Butler actually ended their regular season a little bit early, on Wednesday, I think. They played on Tuesday or Wednesday, and that was their last game, so they didn't play this weekend, which is kind of nice to get some extra rest before the Big East tournament. But they went 1-0 this week. They had a win over Xavier 72-66. They are up to 63rd in KenPom, and they are 18-13 for the regular season and 9-11 in the Big East. That puts them in 8th in the Big East. So they're in the 8th spot, which means their next game again is Xavier, because Xavier is the 9 seed in the Big East tournament. But we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So I don't know, Jaron. I mean, they got work to do to make it into the tournament. Bubble teams have been losing left and right, so it's not impossible. But the thing is, the kind of looming thing is you need to win a couple of games in the Big East tournament.
Yeah.
But if you win, you play UConn second round.
Not an easy opponent.
No, but a great way to get in if you win.
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a huge resume boost there if they're able to pull that off. But watching them play this week and even all season, it's very clear. A guy that we really on the show didn't talk about hardly at all the season, Finley Bizjack, dude's gonna be a star.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna be one of those names that
he could be a Butler great. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
He made the all Big East freshman team, so he's the only Butler player to make get in a end of season Big East award. So
Yeah, a conference award.
yeah, props to him. I think he, I hate having to say it, but like just the way that the landscape of college basketball is, like if he sticks around for 4 years, like he will be a Butler great.
100%.
So hopefully that happens. Telford had 18 points in this game, and it's honestly impressive that they won because they didn't score for like there was a 13.5-minute stretch in this game where they did not score at all.
That's why.
Like no free throw, like nothing. No points.
Just no points.
So they ended up winning, and props to them. Their director of athletics, Barry Collier, announced his retirement at the end of April. He was honored at halftime, so that's nice to see for someone within the program. But Big East tournament awaits for them.
Yeah, and it's like you said, they're gonna have to make a run.
Yeah, so like they are out of the tournament right now.
We're all in on the Bulldogs, especially at this point in the season. But moving on to Evansville, they did move up one spot in KenPom, so they're at 207 currently. I guess likely where they'll end the season overall. But they did go 1-1 this week, as Adam alluded to during our power rankings. They finished the season just under 500 at 16-17 overall, with a 6-14 conference record. They won over Illinois State, 59-53 earlier this week, and then lost, unfortunately, to Drake, who then ended up winning the Missouri Valley Conference tournament. So they lost by 21, 79-58. Lot of names were honored on the Missouri Valley Conference kind of postseason awards. So sorry, I thought you looked at me like you were gonna start listing them off.
No. That's all you.
So Ben Hummerkaus, to no surprise, he made all newcomer team. Chuck Bailey III, guy that we also love, made the freshman team. Bench team, both Chuck Bailey III and Tanner Cuff. So a lot of success from those three. But I mean, they were stars all season. So definitely they deserve these honors that they received.
I think the most impressive thing about that list, I mean, obviously, I think you could have made the argument that Chuck Bailey III should be a starter for a long time. But I think the most impressive thing there is that Ben Hummerkaus, a year ago was playing for Huntington.
Yeah.
And now he comes into the Missouri Valley, which I think rates as like the 8th or 9th best league in the country. Based on metrics, which
I think 9th is what.
Yeah. So he comes into the 9th best league in the country and does really well, and he makes the all newcomer team, like coming from Huntington,
which is are they NAIA?
They're NAIA, yeah. So that's a little bit unexpected and really impressive. So good for him. But they won a game. They beat Illinois State. They were underdogs. We picked this game. They were in the 10-7 game. We picked this game that we figured that Evansville was going to win, and they kind of controlled it from the jump. And then second game, I mean, Drake is just so good. So they held Hummerkaus to 8. They're just so good. I mean, there's a reason why they won the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
So props to them. But unfortunately, Evansville's season does come to a close. 16-17 this year. They won 5 games last year. Huge improvement.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, the future of the program under Ragland is so bright. I mean, we saw what he did this year with a bare bones team. He brought in a lot of talent and turned really. I mean,
and kept a couple of guys that had been there for.
And this is I think the starting point of a program turnaround.
Yeah.
And I do think that we're gonna see continued success for the Aces. Moving forward.
Let's talk about Indiana. So they went up in KenPom from 95. They are now 86th. So moving in the right direction. Unfortunately, you're still not close to being in tournament talks. But they went 2-0 this week, so they're 18-13 overall, and they did get to 10-10 in the conference, which is kind of impressive given how many blowouts they were on the wrong end of this year.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you might have pushed Michigan State out of the tournament. Potentially. I mean, if you can push Michigan State a little bit closer to being out, you push Indiana State a little bit closer to being in. So we like that. But they won at Minnesota 70-58, just controlled that game. just dominant. And then won at Michigan over Michigan State at home, 65-64. Should have been more.
Yeah.
But Trey Galloway, when they were up like 15, Trey Galloway goes out with like a knee injury, I think.
Yeah.
And then they came back. So
yeah, and Trey didn't play the entire second half.
Yeah.
And they were down by I think 17 at one point. Or no, I'm thinking of a different game, a game we're talking about here in a second. But
they lost
really,
the lead.
Yeah, things were looking bleak for much of the second half, and then they figured it out, and
Ware turned it on. I mean,
yeah,
you know
they showed up. They showed a lot of grit and competed.
Yeah,
and it was fun. I mean, they're on a 4-game win streak, and 3 of those games are in the only month that matters, being March. So huge momentum swing for the Hoosiers going into the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, and looking at the team, it's if you win 1 or 2 games in the Big Ten tournament, I think, or not, yeah, in the Big Ten tournament, I think you're sitting pretty nicely for the NIT. If you win 3, you're maybe in bubble talks. If you win 4, you win the Big Ten tournament. So
yeah,
that would put you most likely against Purdue again. So I mean, good luck there. But I mean, it's on the table. The way that they're playing a lot better. They're playing like a different team. We said this team's built for March from day one. We said they're built for March. They just have to get to March. And they are like trying to like squeak the finest line. Like they are on the line as close as they can because they have some work to do.
Yeah. But like I said, this game was senior night. They had 4 seniors honored, 2 of them being Anthony Walker and Xavier Johnson. Obviously, they have both played the full extent of eligibility that they could have. So they're leaving. Anthony Leal and Trey Galloway were 2 huge question marks. I mean, on Friday, Mike Woodson even said he hadn't sat down and talked to them one-on-one yet.
Which is a crazy thing to say.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. But they both announced that they were coming back, which is huge news for the program because
there was a lot of speculation.
Yeah,
that, there's been a lot of talk on the Twitter and
forums, forums, all of that.
There's been so much talk about like everyone's leaving after this season. Like, get Mike Woodson out. Everyone's leaving. No one's coming back. No one wants to play here. I mean, they did lose a commitment of their only commitment. Their only commitment.
Yeah, we kind of buried that lead. They did have 5-star Liam McNeely committed, and on Wednesday, I believe, Thursday it came out that he was requesting release from his national letter of intent. So huge blow.
Which, for what it's worth, Trilly Donovan, as soon as that announcement did come out, he tweeted Bill Self is an effing gangster, which like. Liam McNeely, if you don't know, he was, he's a 5-star, top 15, like instant difference maker in your program, but not like a Zion, like run your program through this guy kind of guy. He was between Indiana and Kansas, just like Mackenzie Mbako was, and he decommitted. I expect him to go to Kansas. They have the spot for him because I think Johnny Furphy played really well this year and is probably gone. They've got a spot for him. He's like perfect for what Bill Self wants to do.
Yep.
I don't blame him. It was a weird fit, especially if you don't know who the point guard's going to be. Like I think Liam McNeely was expecting to commit, and then Derek Queen commit, and Boogie Fland commit, and have this like insane class come in.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, neither of those other dominoes came, and so he felt like, well, like what's going to happen here? So
and this is all speculation. We don't know. I mean,
I've never talked to the guy.
He could have a change of heart and
doubtful
recommit,
but
it could happen. But it was really cool because during Woodson's speeches and even his post-game press conference and Leal's speech as well on senior day, they called out some of the haters from the chat forums and Twitter. So
which there are a lot.
I huge respect for that. I mean, even Tom Izzo had a huge compliment for Woodson in his post game press conference. He said somebody has to stick up for him for coming back next year, and then he called the entire situation with administrators a joke. So Tom Izzo, also a gangster.
which is wild. If Tom Izzo's plugged in, that's just insane.
Yeah.
But Indiana in the long run, I mean, like, you got to win out.
Yep.
I mean, you're 4 games away from making the NCAA tournament, which puts you 10 wins away from the national championship.
Yeah.
Which I think if that happened would literally make this state explode.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's move on. Who's next? Indiana State. Just tear my heart out. Moved up in KenPom from 45 to 43. They went 2-1 this week. They were playing in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, Arch Madness. They went 2-1. Unfortunately, they're 28-6 overall and 17-3 in conference. So they won in the first, in the quarterfinals over Missouri State 72-59, and then they won over Northern Iowa in the semis 94-72, and then they lost to Drake 84-80, and Drake's just good. I mean, Indiana State was down 18 at one point.
Yeah.
And then Isaiah Swope said, "I'm him," and rattled off like 17 points to put them up like 2. Had a 4-point play and then got fouled on a 3-pointer and made all 3. So like just some absurd stuff going on. But unfortunately they fell short, which kind of puts their future their future is uncertain. Like, I think we will be talking about this team again playing, because if they do not get a bid for the NCAA tournament, which I think they will, for the record, I think they will.
Yep.
They will be in the NIT.
100%. Yeah.
They got rid of the auto. So they got rid of the auto bid for the NIT. The way the NIT used to work is if you won your regular season conference tournament, but you did not win your conference. If you won your conference's regular season, but you did not win your conference tournament, you got an auto bid to the NIT. They did away with that, which I think is silly. They did away with it. I assume to put bigger names in the tournament.
They want to make the NIT more.
They want to have more. They want to have more viewers. Basically.
Yeah.
So Indiana State does not get an auto bid, but they will get a bid to the NIT if they do not get a bid to the NCAA tournament, which they will. I am firm they will.
Yeah, and if they don't, we're gonna riot.
Yeah, like you'll find me in Fishers down there with the selection committee.
It's not even in Fishers, it's in downtown Indy.
They did it in Fishers last year, I think.
Did they?
Or maybe they were. They were in like Carmel or something.
Yeah, they were in a conference center, not the actual NCAA headquarters.
Bro, they were probably in a bar. They were probably somewhere. But I mean, they fell short. I think even Drake's coach was talking about after the game. He was like, "There's no reason not to put them in. Like, they have given you every reason. If you watch the team, if you've seen their record, if you've seen what they've done, they should be in the tournament. It would be silly not to put them in." So they'll be in. I'm gonna manifest that now. But some Missouri Valley Conference the Missouri Valley Conference awards came out. Robbie Avila made the first team. Ryan Conwell, Jason Kent, and Isaiah Swope made the second team. Julian Larry made the third team. Isaiah Swope made the all newcomer team, transferred from Southern Indiana. All defense team was Jason Kent and Julian Larry. Bench team was Xavier Bledson, and most improved was Jason Kent. So every single person in the starting 5
made a conference team.
Made one of the 3 conference teams, which is impressive. Like, that is hard to do, but it shows why they were so good this year. So other than us rioting in the streets, anything else you got to say on the Sycamores?
I do not. Let's talk about the last time we'll ever talk about them in any capacity. IUPUI.
In the way that we know them. Yeah.
Yep, because they played their last game this week as IUPUI. Their last season as IUPUI, they finished KenPom at 361. They went 0-1. Their final season record was 6-26, and they went 2-18 in the Horizon League. They lost the first round to Cleveland State, 85-66. And the reason we say there's a lot of lasts here is because they will no longer be IUPUI. We talked about it before, but next season they will be IU Indy. So
Yeah, I don't know what their moniker is going to be like. I don't know if they're going to be IUI. Are they going to be IU Indy?
I don't know if anyone is. I don't know if it's come out
They're
or
like-
what, but
They're like, dude, we got spring sports still playing. Like, give us time. We'll tell you in the summer.
yeah,
But yeah.
So, that's exciting, and it's interesting because they're going to be starting as IUI with a clean slate in the regard of they fired their coach.
Yeah, understandably.
Yeah. Matt Crenshaw was there for 3 seasons. Did not have a glowing record as a coach. He I think 14-79 was his coaching record for them.
Yeah.
It is sad to see because he is an IUPUI alumnus. He played there.
His jersey is retired
Yeah. He
at IUPUI.
he is one of their historic greats. But sometimes that doesn't translate to coaching, and
Well,
the situation is also just really
it's
weird.
a hard place to coach. I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's hard to recruit to. The facilities aren't great. It's a hard place to recruit to. Especially like, you're trying to recruit people to Indy, but you've got Butler right there.
Yep.
Like, literally a historic building. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
They did lose a couple big names, impactful players for them to the transfer portal already. Jalen Counter declared that he was entering the portal. He's a guy that averaged 14 points a game, played 30 minutes a game.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce Monroe, also their second leading scorer, who averaged 11 points a game and also 30 minutes a game. Both of them enter the portal, which does not surprise me.
Yeah.
I think that's
You'll always, I mean,
to
honestly,
be expected almost.
yeah, it's surprising that we haven't seen more just because the coach is gone. I mean, you can always withdraw from the portal, but a name to watch in the coaching search, and we'll obviously update you as this goes on. But one name to watch is Matt Graves. He's the associate head coach at Indiana State. He was a former assistant coach at Butler way back when. So just a name to watch at this point. But that's the last time we're going to be talking about IUPUI, but not the last time we're going to be talking about Notre Dame. So they went down 2 spots in KenPom, 124 from 122. Had a rough week. They went 0-2. So that brings them for the regular season record 12-19 and 7-13, which is better than I thought they were going to do. I think. I mean, I don't have that on hand. I'm not going to go searching for what I projected, but pretty good, I guess.
I mean,
all
I was
things
impressed.
considered.
I think,
especially the way that the end of the season went. But they lost at North Carolina pretty big, 84-51. North Carolina's in the conversation for being a 1 seed maybe. So, I mean, you expect something like that. And then they lost at Virginia Tech 82-76. So, not a one they could have had, but unfortunately did not pull off.
Yeah, I mean, a bright spot for this team, Marcus Burton, right? We've talked about him all season. In game 1 of the season, he broke LaFonso Ellis's freshman debut scoring record. I think he had 29 points or something
I believe so.
In that first game, or maybe it was 28. I don't know. He had upper 20s, so pretty impressive there to be named right alongside a guy like LaFonso Ellis.
Yeah.
And then during the Virginia Tech game, I don't know his final stat line, but he surpassed Troy Murphy for the program's freshman scoring record for a single season. So, well, I guess freshman scoring record would be a single season, but he had he hit a 3-pointer, or I don't remember if he hit a 2 to go up 2 or what, but he's 520 plus freshman points.
Mm-hmm. And counting.
And counting. Very, very impressive. So
yeah, that game where he broke the record, he had 9.
Yeah.
I mean that's RJ Davis guarding you. All-American.
Well, no, he broke the record against Virginia.
Oh, Virginia Tech. No.
Yeah.
Oh, he broke it in the second game?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He had 9 in the first game, so he could have broken it there. Yeah, he had 24 in the second game against Virginia Tech, which props to him. On Burton, on the complete other side of this is just something I saw when I was looking up stats. In the North Carolina game, I mean, he played almost all of it. He was minus 37. Like that is, I mean, I guess I don't really look a lot at the plus minus in like buy games for the losing team,
Right.
which
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure you get, I'm sure absurd minuses. You get like minus 55. But yeah, I haven't seen that one in like a game that I paid attention to, but I don't know. They play in the ACC tournament on Tuesday, so we'll talk about that in a little bit though.
Yep. And Purdue Fort Wayne. Last time we'll talk about them this season. They did go down 3 spots in KenPom there at 161 from 158. They went 1-1 last week in the Horizon League championship. Not the championship game, but they called the tournament the Horizon League championship. So went 1-1 in the conference tournament. They finished the season 21-12 with an 11-9 conference record. Got a win over Robert Morris, which we expected because they beat them a handful of days prior. And they lost at Oakland 75-65. I'm sad. This team was a really good team. They were really fun to watch.
Mm-hmm. Better than the record showed.
Yeah, they're definitely better than the record showed, which I think adds to the kind of heartbreak of this game.
Yeah. But you eclipsed 20 wins and you graduated your entire starting 5. Like think about that.
Yeah.
Like that is insane. And you've got a guy
graduated
like,
the starting 5 the year prior to be specific.
Yeah. So
they're only losing one piece for next year.
And you've got Jalen Jackson, who's got 2 more years of eligibility and just seems like the sky's the limit on his ability.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, they weren't supposed to be this good. They came out of the gate really, really hot. Horizon League was just tough. I mean, it's a tough conference to play in.
Yep.
And, got tripped up. I think that's just their youth playing together. Pretty young team. Like you said, they're only graduating one person, and that's Anthony Roberts, correct?
Yep.
So, they're losing one guy, but I think the team's going to keep going on and be great. But this Oakland game, did you see any of the clips from this Oakland games, the student section?
I did not.
I think anyone would lose to Oakland in this game playing at Oakland because their student section was nuts. The swim team was there, so it was crazy.
Yeah.
The swim team was there, and they were waxing somebody during free throw. Like they were waxing somebody's chest during free throws. I cannot confirm if it was real, but there was a tattoo gun out during free throws. So someone was potentially like standing there getting tattooed. I don't know if it was actually like on or if they were just pretending, but from my vantage point where I was watching like the clips, someone was getting tattooed in the student section. Like that's just, next level.
Yeah. That's
like, it's amazing they didn't win the game by 50.
Right. That's insane. That's insane.
But I think the future is bright for this team, and I think they're going to do even better next year.
Yep. And then just another plug real quick on the Horizon League tournament. They the semifinals are playing Monday night, and then the championship is Tuesday. So March 11th the semifinals, and then March 12th is the championship. They took a 2-day break because the first 2 rounds of the tournament are played at school sites on campus sites. So they'll play the semifinals at Indiana Farmers Coliseum and the finals as well in Indianapolis. So had to give travel time for the schools to get there.
Yep. Purdue, number 3 in KenPom, still number 3 in the AP poll. So they went 2-0 this week. They finished the regular season 28-3, 17-3. That gives them a 3-game lead in the Big Ten. So they won at Illinois 77-71, and then they beat Wisconsin at home 80-72. So great week. I mean, you beat the team that's in second in the Big Ten and was chirping at you all month about this game, and then you beat the team that was leading the Big Ten for the first like 6 or 7 games or something.
Yeah.
Had like a 2-game lead. So 2 good wins, but Braden Smith, dude. He's like he's the real deal.
Yeah, I mean, he became the first Purdue player to lead the Big Ten in assists, so league games, since Tony Jones in 1990. So his final league stats were 12.5 points a game, which feels so low.
Yeah.
7.6 assists per game, which also feels low, and then 6.4 rebounds per game.
Feels low, but like feels low because of what you see him do, and you like see him dish out 11 assists. It feels like nightly.
Yeah.
But like 7.6 assists per game is absurd.
Yeah.
That is so many assists, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is a ton. This is kind of actually, you know, we can make a connection to the Indiana here because a couple of weeks, like Indiana fans have been crazy. They've been calling for their coach to be fired. They've been saying that all the players are going to leave, blah 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 blah. Like a week ago, Purdue fans were calling for Fletcher Loyer to just never see the floor again, to, you know, let Cam Heidi take his spot, just literally let anyone else play. And then what does he do? He goes and has 16 points against Illinois, and then has 15, and they're all like huge points. Like they're all just coming at meaningful times and just cold points. And it's like, oh no, when the moment is right, he's there. So just proving that the people on Twitter who are chirping don't know crap.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep. So against Wisconsin, it was their senior day, so they honored all the players. You know, Mason Gillis, Lance Jones, Zach Edey, to name a few. There might have been one or two others, but obviously three huge players. Yeah. Ethan Morton.
Ethan Morton, Mason Gillis, Zach Edey, and Lance Jones. Yeah. Those four.
But it was really cool. After the game, they hung a banner in the rafters honoring Zach Edey's jersey number. So
as you should.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Like they retired.
We're not going to waste time.
Yeah.
But what's crazy is it's not considered a retire.
Right. Yeah.
Because anyone can wear number 15 in the future.
Yeah.
They've got I think there's 3 jersey numbers or 2 jersey numbers up there
that are the same.
That are duplicates. Yeah.
I was going to say you definitely should, because they retired Luka Garza's jersey his last game, and Zach Edey had a better career than Luka Garza. I mean, you won the award twice. I mean, yeah, he hasn't won it technically. He hasn't won Player of the Year a second time, but he's going to.
Yeah.
But one, you know, Wisconsin game was kind of scary for a second because Edey went down. He got taken down for a minute with an injury and then came back up. And then Braden Smith stepped on a ref's foot and rolled his ankle, and then it was fine. Yeah. But like Robbie Hummel was talking about on the broadcast, just like how good Purdue teams have been, and then someone has gotten injured himself.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
And then, you know, the season went away. Like when they had
when Isaac Haas
when they broke his elbow,
invented the hook and hold.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, that team could have gone really far. Oh no, he broke his elbow. Okay. But you know, good thing that they didn't get hurt or anything. You know, especially, you know, other than for a couple of seconds. But in the Illinois game, Braden Smith he's just a cold white boy, dude. I mean,
cold. Yeah.
He is. I don't know, man. He hit the like a dagger 3 with less than a minute left, I think. Just right from the top of the key. He hit the nighty night on him. Oh, I mean, he is better than anyone other than himself and Matt Painter thought, probably.
Yeah.
Like, dude's good.
Yeah. One last thing on Purdue. It was really interesting to me. So during the senior day speeches, I don't often see. I've never seen a parent of a player get the mic and talk, but Julia Edey, Zach Edey's mom, gave a little speech. I didn't catch the full extent of everything, but one thing that did stand out was she told a story about Zach Edey's first ever autograph that he gave as you know, a basketball player. They were at an exhibition game before he was even enrolled in the school, right? It was a recruiting visit, something. They're at an exhibition game, a kid after the game came up to him, asked him for his autograph. And Zach Edey looked at him and was like, I'm not on the team.
Mm-hmm.
And the kid goes, well, can I have it anyway? So Zach Edey, gave his autograph. Then after the fact, the kid left and walked away. And Zach looked over at his mom and is just like, that kid just got an autograph from a nobody.
That kid's about to sell that for $1 million. The first Zach Edey autograph.
Right. And now here we are, talking about a guy who is going to win back-to-back.
Yeah. First player since the 80s, since Ralph Sampson did it at Virginia.
Yeah. So that was just a fun little story that was shared. And I'm sure that's the extent of what Julia Edey said. She probably just wanted to tell that story.
Yeah.
But I was like, that's wild.
I mean, he was a nobody. I mean, he was like in the 300 or 400s in the recruiting. So, amazing. He watch him in probably their second game of the Big Ten tournament to break Rick Mount's scoring record. There's absolutely no reason for him to score 41 points in their first game in the Big Ten tournament.
You never know.
But unless they win, I don't even. There's no reason, because if they win close, he shouldn't have to be scoring 41 points for them to win. There's no scenario where he should. But second game, watch out for him to pass Rick Mount on the Purdue all-time scoring list. Southern Indiana's our next team, our penultimate team here. Their season came to a close. Stayed at 327 in KenPom. They lost to Tennessee State 78-64. Jeremiah Hernandez was sick, their best player, so he didn't play. And then AJ Smith got hurt literally in the first minute. Rolled his ankle, out for the rest of the game. So your two best players are out. That is a tough way to go out.
Yeah.
Like that's a game where you see like you either the team loses as you expect, or some miracle happens and some people from the bench have God tier games and they go on and win the whole thing.
Yeah.
But unfortunately that didn't happen. So their season did come to a close at Tennessee State, or in Evansville against Tennessee State.
Which is almost it. This is going to come off I'm going to word this very poorly, but it almost is like a mirror of how their season went, right? They played so many conference games where they lost by 5 points or less. They played close, but they just couldn't. They lost it in a heartbreak fashion.
Yeah.
I mean, this is
like they could have had 5 more wins this year. Easy.
Again, it's another, heartbreaking way to end their season.
Yeah. Yeah. But
almost like heartbreak followed the Screagles this season.
Yeah. Hate to see it, but shout out to the team. Shout out to Sam Mervis. It's a good guy. I hope he comes back for his next year. He's a transfer from Indiana State, so friends with those guys. So got some state of basketball connections there. Our last team, Valparaiso, 298 in KenPom, down from 296. They went 0-1 this week, 7-25 for this season. Their season is over now. 3-17 in the conference. They did finish last in the Missouri Valley, and they lost to an incredible Belmont team, 86-61. I mean, Belmont almost beat Drake.
Yeah.
Who beat Indiana State.
Yeah, it's just, it sucks. It sucks that's, this is the last time we'll talk about them this year, but it was really cool. We talked about it during our Twitter spaces, but we've talked about it on every show for the past month, it feels like. Cooper Schwieger was named Freshman of the Year in the Missouri Valley Conference. Did not come as a shock to us because
we saw it coming.
We saw it coming, but it was made official last week. So that's great.
Yeah. Good for him. I think that, again, have to say the thing. He stays all 4 years. He'll be a Valpo great. I mean, he crossed 400 points in their game against Belmont. That's just the 26th Missouri Valley Conference freshman of all time to score 400 points. So he finished 409. He finished with 409 points, in his freshman season. So good for him. Unfortunately, their season came to a close. I don't really have anything else. I mean, Belmont is also really good.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
good for them for
draw
for writing it out.
It was a tough draw.
But all right, that's our Indiana recap. So that's that.
So, Adam,
Uh-huh.
who is our final Jimmy Chitwood Player of the Week of the season?
Week 18, Jimmy Chitwood is Khalil Ware from Indiana University. He had a dominant week. He in their win at Minnesota, he had 26 points, 11 rebounds on 12 of 16 shooting. And in their final game at home against Michigan State, he had 28 points on 13 of 19 shooting and 12 boards. Just a dominant performance, just really showing why he's being talked about as a lottery pick.
Yeah.
When the team's back is against the wall, like it's win or go home, feeling like for the NCAA tournament, he's just turning it on at the right time. So Khalil Ware just showing out and balling out, at the end of the season. Hopefully he continues to lead his team and they keep rolling. So.
Yeah. I mean, you touched on the last 2 games, but I want to go a step further, talk about his last 4 games.
Okay.
Right? So, like we talked about, they are a 4-game win streak. Over those 4 games, he's shooting 72.7% from the field. Incredible. Averaging 22.5 points a game, 12.3 rebounds a game, and 2.8 blocks a game. So just doing it all on both ends of the courts, picking up, almost 3 blocks a game.
Yep.
And then, putting up just basket after basket so definitely I approve
It's
of
good.
your selection this week. Not that I get any say anyway.
So let's talk about next week.
Yep.
So next week we only have 3 things that in the state of Indiana we're really paying attention to. That's the ACC tournament, the Big East tournament, and the Big Ten tournament. Because all the other teams in the state are done they have all played in their tournaments except for Ball State, who did not make the MAC tournament. They would have been playing this week, but they didn't make it. So let's talk about the ACC tournament, which is only Notre Dame. So Notre Dame's the only team that I guess I'm concerned with all of them because I just like basketball, but that's the only team that Indiana, needs to really pay attention to in the ACC. They got the 12 seed, so they drew Georgia Tech in the first round as the 13 seed. They swept Georgia Tech this year, so winnable game. Then they would play number 5 Wake Forest, who they also beat just a week ago, 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago.
And then if they win that game, so I guess the game against Georgia Tech would be on Tuesday. Then they would play on Wednesday against Wake Forest if they win. If they win that, they would then play against Pitt on Thursday. And I think they lost to Pitt earlier this season. Pitt is the 4 seed. So, not a terrible draw. But
No. I look at this draw and I think it's really favorable for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, I think these are all very winnable games. The semifinals, which would be the game after Pitt, tough game. Probably North Carolina. And we saw how that went this past week.
Yeah.
But it's a good draw. I really like their draw.
Yeah, this tournament, North Carolina won the conference outright, so they're the number 1 seed. Duke's the number 2 seed. Virginia's the number 3 seed. Somehow, Notre Dame beat this team by 20, and this team got the 3 seed. So I guess anything is possible. But this thing is kind of just gearing up to be some bubble teams trying to play their way back in, but probably be a North Carolina Duke championship again. So I don't know. I would pull for North Carolina in that scenario, but I don't really care either way.
Yeah.
Not on my radar that much.
You mentioned it. Notre Dame would play on Tuesday. Specifically, they would play at 2 p.m. Unfortunately, that's on the ACC network, which I believe you can watch via ESPN2 or ESPN Plus.
I think we get that on YouTube TV too. If you're a YouTube TVer, we get the SEC network. I know that.
I know we don't get the Pac-12 network because we don't have the fancy fridges.
Yeah, no one but the Samsung fridge people get the Pac-12 network.
But yep, so could be able to watch that, but that is 2 p.m. on Tuesday the 12th.
So Notre Dame has a tough path. Notre Dame has to win the ACC tournament to get in. That's the only way that they get in.
Yeah.
So
But
Unlikely, but possible.
they could burst some bubbles.
Absolutely, they
And
could.
that's I think what I'm cheering for the most.
Yeah, they already.
Because the more bubbles that pop, the easier it is for Indiana State to make the
Absolutely.
tournament.
Absolutely. I mean, like Wake Forest and Pitt, those are teams that they need to beat and push them out of the tournament. So, let's talk about the Big East tournament. So, only one team again here, and this team is Butler. They pulled the 8 seed. So, just like Purdue, Fort Wayne, and IUPUI had to play a team twice in a row, Butler has to do the same thing. They have to turn right around and play Xavier on the 13th, which is what? Wednesday? Yeah, because they only have 3 rounds here, right?
Yep.
No, 4 rounds.
4 rounds. Yeah.
4 rounds. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So they play at 4 p.m. In Madison Square Garden, right? Yeah, they're back in MSG. So Butler plays they're the 8 seed. They play the 9 seed Xavier, which means like they need to go on a run in the Big East tournament to make the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit. They need to at least win 2 games.
At least. Like
Mostly
one doesn't do it. One doesn't do it.
Yeah. And mostly they realistically would need to win more, but that second game would be UConn.
Yeah.
Which would, I think, firmly put them in if they were to beat UConn.
I think so.
But yep, that game is Wednesday, March 13th at 4 p.m. on Fox Sports 1.
Yeah. So, I mean, UConn's the 1 seed there. I don't know. Expect them to win it. We've seen some weird things in the Big East. We always do, but I expect them to win that one. So, Big Ten. Talk about the Big Ten, which kicks off on Wednesday and will be probably what we're watching while we're live, right before the selection show and our live show. So East tournament or Big Ten tournament will go all the way until Sunday. The final games are like 4 or 3 or something. So we'll be buttoned up right against it. So Indiana and Purdue are our teams that we're worried about. Indiana drew the 6th seed, which plays at 9 p.m. approximately, probably closer to 9:30 on Thursday. And they'll play the winner of Michigan and Penn State, the 11 and 14 seeds. And then Purdue will play the next game, or the next day, I guess technically the next game, but they'll play the next day at noon against the winner of Minnesota, Michigan. So that's the 8-9 game. So Purdue, of course, no surprise, did win the number 1 overall seed because they won the conference by 3 games.
Yep. So Purdue gets that double bye into the quarterfinals. IU, for a while, things were looking bleak. We thought they were going to be playing on Wednesday.
Yeah.
And, pulled it out. They're the second highest seed playing on Thursday.
Wasn't it they could finish anywhere between 5 and 12? Before their games this last week, before both games, they could finish anywhere between 5 and 12.
Yep. And they finished 6th. So, impressive way to turn around the season. Yeah, like Adam said, they'll be playing at 9 p.m. ish on Thursday, which I think we established as the 15th. The 14th. So look for that on Big Ten Network. And then,
favorable draw.
Yeah. I mean,
probably the best. I mean,
because they would go if they win on Thursday, they would go on to play Nebraska.
Yeah.
Who knows what Nebraska can do? They are notorious for not winning on the road, unless they're playing against IU or Michigan State. And
you got Michigan, Penn State. I mean, Penn State beat you this year, but that's a beatable team. I don't know what kind of demons were going on when they played Penn State, but that's definitely a winnable game. And then if you play Nebraska, that's a winnable game. They were in the Illinois game for a while, right?
Yep.
Wasn't it? I don't remember if the final score was close, but it was close for at least a long time.
Yeah, they were in most of the game. Keep in mind, so Illinois would be who they would play in the semifinals if they beat Nebraska in the more than likely. And
if Ohio State if Ohio State could make some noise, now they got Diebler. Now that Diebler's at the helm.
Yeah.
But maybe Illinois gets upset and you play Ohio State and then you're in the finals against Purdue. I mean, I still don't. I'm still not convinced that 3 wins in the Big Ten tournament gets you into the NCAA tournament. There would have to be some weird bubble breaking,
Yeah.
but it could happen.
Could happen, but realistically, I think we're looking at a situation where for Indiana to make March Madness, they need to win the Big Ten tournament, which
It's tough.
is not the easiest task to.
How many
to
times
complete.
have they done that, Jaron? None. So make history, I guess.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Purdue is obviously looking to go back to back as regular season and back to back as Big Ten tournament champions. But as a Purdue fan, hear me out. Losing the semifinals.
You don't need to win the Big Ten
Honestly,
tournament.
take the extra day of rest.
Honestly,
Just sit, wait. That way you can just rest. Like I'm not saying that as like a Purdue shouldn't want to win, but like if you lose, that's honestly kind of a good thing. Like having an extra day of rest is kind of a good thing, especially if you're going to be, especially if that game in the semifinals is a rock fight against Northwestern. Like, if and then maybe Illinois again, like those are going to be hard games. Wouldn't it just be better to just have a day off?
honestly,
Like, I mean, if I was on Purdue, in Purdue's situation, the day off would be really nice. Being a 1 seed, the overall, there's no way they aren't the overall 1 seed. So take a day off. If you lose, Purdue fans, enjoy your day off.
especially because the last several years Purdue has not done super great in the NCAA tournament. So having an extra day of rest can't hurt.
Yeah. Rest, prepare, get mentally right. So those are our tournaments. We're not going to talk about the MAC tournament because I'm bitter. Mad. But just a side note about tournaments. The Southern Indiana Screaming Eagles women's team won the OVC tournament and do not get to go to the NCAA tournament because this is only their second year as a Division I team. So that sucks. Which is the stupidest rule.
Stupidest rule in the world.
It's dumb.
I hate it.
Yeah, it needs to be abolished for sure. And then there was one other thing I had. Indiana and Purdue have beaten officially an NCAA tournament team because they both beat Morehead State this season. And Morehead State from the Ohio Valley, that's Southern Indiana's conference. They were the very first team to punch their ticket to the NCAA tournament. So Purdue beat the team by like 30. Indiana beat the team by like 1. I think it was literally 1. But they both beat an NCAA tournament team, so good for them.
Yeah. So let's talk about the other 49 states.
Yeah.
So last week, definitely kind of a slow week in general, right? Teams are wrapping up, season's ending. There weren't any really big games at all.
Nothing that I cared about
on Monday. On Tuesday, we did have some upsets. Florida beat 16 ranked Alabama 105-87.
What a team that will beat anyone and lose to anyone.
Yeah, Alabama's a weird team. Not a team that I would recommend taking far in the NCAA
Absolutely
tournament.
not.
We'll talk about that though on our live show next week. And then UNLV beat number 21 San Diego State 62-58. Another team that you just never know what they're going to do, San Diego State.
I think they took another loss this week too.
Yep, they did drop 2.
Like
we will talk about that in a few days.
Rough week.
Theoretically. That game was on Friday, so
yeah.
Once we get to Friday,
that's just what popped in my head. Like rough way to end the season.
Yep.
Great way for my parlay for conference tournaments, tournament winners because I needed them to lose. Wednesday, number 6 Iowa State had like a huge comeback. Like they were down at home, I think, to number 20 BYU. They ended up winning that game 68-63. Number 2, UConn won at number 8 Marquette 74-67. I think Tyler Kolek was out in that game, but still is a win. And number 4 Tennessee won at number 17 South Carolina 66-59. So compare the 66-59 to the 105-87 Florida Alabama game in the same conference.
It's just wild.
Just it's that's what I love about this sport. You get a game like Alabama, Kentucky, which gets into the 100 teens,
Yep.
and then you get like Virginia playing in the 40s, not
Yeah.
even reaching 50 points.
Yeah.
I love it. I love this sport.
And then Thursday, we had Washington beating Washington's 18 ranked Washington State at Washington State.
I didn't see that coming.
74-68. So huge win for the Huskies. To wrap up the season.
Mm-hmm. Friday, Boise State won at San Diego State, so they dropped 2 games this week. They won 79-77. That's really the only thing notable from Friday night. Some West Coast action.
Then Saturday, we had 15 games featuring a ranked opponent. Several of these were ranked versus ranked. Just kind of running down the list quickly. Houston beat Kansas 76-46, which is wild.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah.
Like Houston came in to the Big 12 from the AAC, from the American, and it was like, we'll see how they translate. And it's like, oh, they won it like outright.
Yeah.
They just won it outright.
Houston's defense is insane. And that game shows it because Kansas can score the ball.
Yeah. Kansas, frauds. Again, another team that we'll talk about next week. Not going to take them far.
Yeah. Yep. And then UConn beat Providence 74-60. Kentucky beat Tennessee 85-81. So 15 ranked Kentucky versus 4 Tennessee. Possibly moving Tennessee out of the one line. USC, I stayed up for this game actually. USC beat Arizona 78-65. Arizona being the 5 ranked team. This game was at USC.
Bronny James legacy game.
I mean,
I guess
someone's got to say it. Kansas State beat Iowa State at Kansas State 65-58. The Duke North Carolina game. So North Carolina being ranked 7, Duke ranked 9. UNC completed the season sweep over Duke 84-79. There was some player-to-player contact that Twitter blew up about.
Yeah.
Filipowski fell in an effort, and I use air quotes, to get up.
He said he slipped.
He swung his leg around and tripped a North Carolina player.
He lifted that bad boy right up.
Yeah. Check the tape. Marquette, 8th ranked Marquette won at Xavier 86-80. 10 ranked Creighton won at Villanova 69-67. So very close games, and games that you don't necessarily expect to be close because you've got Creighton and Marquette who have been so good all season. And then Texas Tech upset number 11 Baylor at Texas Tech 78-68. Auburn, 13 ranked Auburn, beat Georgia 92-78. Alabama and Arkansas went to overtime. Alabama won 92-88. South Carolina and Mississippi State went to overtime as well, 93-89. BYU beat Oklahoma State 85-71. Utah State won the Mountain West.
Outright champs.
Outright by beating New Mexico 87-85. And then our last game was Tulsa, 76 Tulsa beating 24 ranked South Florida 76-70.
Yeah. South Florida who won the conference. Who won the Southern? No.
American.
The American, yes.
Silly me. Yeah, and then also on Saturday, Morehead State beat Little Rock to win the Ohio Valley Conference.
Yeah, so Sunday we had people punch their tickets. So I always love the videos of the team in the locker room slapping their name on the NCAA tournament bracket, to show that they punched their ticket. So we had a couple of those today. So like you said, Morehead State from the OVC won on Saturday. They won from the Missouri Valley Conference. We saw the Drake Bulldogs do it over Indiana State. So this is the second year that they did it in a row. Last year they lost to who in the first round? There's a free throw for you. Drake lost. They drew they almost won, Their first game.
I don't remember.
They drew an unfortunate draw.
UConn?
No, another Final Four team.
Miami.
Miami. So that was a tough draw. They drew Miami, who went to the Final Four. Longwood made it out of, what are they? The
Big South.
Big South. And then out of the Atlantic Sun, Stetson made it. So my wife was commenting when we were watching the broadcast in between the Indiana State game and in between the Indiana game about how Stetson's gym looked like a high school gym. And I was like, yep, welcome to major basketball.
Yep. So
That is, especially because we're in Indiana. So, like,
yeah.
it's smaller than a high school gym here.
Yep. So I don't know if you said it. That was the Atlantic Sun. That is Stetson's first NCAA appearance. They did it on the back of Jalen Blackman, who is a Fort Wayne native. And so Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I think he had like 40 points in that game. Dude absolutely popped off. But it's kind of funny. Our first two teams in the to punch their tickets were Moorhead and Longwood.
Yeah.
All team names right there.
Next week, I mean, I'll just blast through this real quick. I mean, it's champ week, is championship week, so just watch. There's just basketball on all the time, literally all day. Just turn it on and watch it. I mean, the ACC tournament starts Tuesday. On Wednesday, the Pac-12, Big East, Big Ten, and the SEC tournaments all start. Thursday, the MAC tournament starts, and then you've got them finishing anytime between Saturday and Sunday. Then, so I think the Big Ten is usually the last one that finishes up. So, just watch a lot of basketball. Watch a lot of if your team wins, it advances. Just keep watching. Just literally turn on any basketball, and you're good. So, I think it's your turn. Your turn to go first this week.
Nope, I went first last week.
You sure?
Positive. 100%.
Okay, I'll go first. So this is, I mean, we will not do one next. I don't know. We'll have to figure something. We might do one next week. We'll just have to pull one out of the bracket. But I mean,
we'll figure it out.
Maybe not. I would say probably not, but maybe.
Yeah, this could be.
This is probably the last one of the season.
Yep. So our guess the game of the week, Adam's version.
Okay. Not a lot of games to choose from because a lot of the opponents are not decided yet because they're waiting on games to finish. So mine, Jaron, is the Battle of New York.
Battle of New York. St. John. No, is Seton Hall in New York?
It's in Jersey.
But it's not St. John Seton Hall?
It is not St. John's Seton Hall.
Oh,
we have not talked about this game.
Yeah.
You haven't seen this game on our brackets.
Is it the Ivy League?
Nope.
Is it the MAC? Is it? No, there's only one team. Is it New York State or New York City?
City. That's all. That's all I can give you.
Yeah, other teams are City. St. John. I know that there are others. I'm just completely spacing. Dude, I don't have the slightest idea.
Let me tell you. Manhattan at Iona.
What conference are they in?
The MAC with 2 A's, I believe.
See, I was thinking, I was like, Manhattan was my first real guess, but I was like, there's no way they'll have been done. I assume that they played.
They're one of the late. That game's on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. That's Tuesday,
I guess that
March
makes sense
12th.
because only 4 teams are only 4
done,
conferences are done. There's just some bazillion. Dang.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Battle of New York. It's a tough one. That's Iona is coached by the former coach of FDU.
Oh,
No, he took Slick Rick's spot.
interesting. I did not know that, or did not. It wasn't in the Rolodex of knowledge.
Right.
But okay, so I'll take that L.
Oh boy, I've not been doing well lately.
You're on a losing streak, I think.
Yeah, I am. I went like two in a row, and then I've only taken L's since.
So my guess the game is we've got bears and tigers ruffling through foliage. Bears and tigers ruffling through foliage.
Bears and tigers. Is it UCLA?
Nope.
Dude, there's so many bears and so many tigers. Is it Oakland?
Nope. Emphasis on foliage. Think foliage. What could that mean?
Is it the Ivy League?
It is the Ivy League.
God, I don't know any mascots in the Ivy League. Dartmouth.
No.
Brown.
Brown
Oh my
are the Bears.
They're the Bears.
Yep.
Brown Bears. Come on now. Where's the Tigers? Not the Harvard. What are they? The Crimson?
Yep.
Come on. You can pull this out. Oh, at Princeton.
Yep.
They're versus Princeton.
Yep. So it is Brown versus Princeton. Only 4 teams from the Ivy League make their conference tournament.
Is that real?
Yeah. I was confused by that. I had to look it up.
They just you're just auto to the semis. They really don't care about sports, dude. They literally saw Princeton go to the friggin' Sweet 16 last year and were like, or 2 years ago, they're like, whatever.
Yep. So only the top 4 teams in the regular season make the tournament. So that
is insane.
It's Brown and Princeton, and then Cornell and Yale, I believe.
Did Yale pull the 1 seed?
I think so.
Did that happen?
Yeah.
I feel like we talked about this at one point.
Yeah. Cornell being the 1 seed, or Cornell being the 4 seed against Yale being the 1 seed, and then the Brown and Princeton being the 2 and 3.
That is crazy.
That game is, I don't know if I said it, 11 a.m. on Saturday. So
11 a.m. Oh my god, dude.
The game's played in New York. So it's 11 a.m. Eastern.
That's
in New York.
That's amazing.
So the Ivy League championship is then on
so
Sunday
they play
morning.
the second game on Sunday? Dude. Well, that is actually on brand because they can't have them missing class. They're like, if we moved it to have more teams, they'd have to play on Friday and they'd have to miss calculus. Oh my gosh, the Ivy League never change.
No, so that brings both of our records to 3 and 5. So
we're gonna have
good for us.
We're gonna have to figure something out here.
Good for us.
Next week we're just gonna have to at some point. I guess it would have to be before. It would have to be before we pick the games. I don't know. I don't think we can do it next week because we're gonna be looking at the bracket.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna work. It could maybe work, but then it was like we could do it for the next, or like the Sweet 16
for weekend 2.
Yeah, but it would be like we're picking 8 games between 8 games. So it's like I don't know. Is it? I know every single game that's gonna be. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have anything else.
No. Great. Wrap up of the season. We're looking forward to postseason basketball. Again, remember, live show next Sunday evening.
Probably around 5:30, 5:45-ish.
By 6 p.m. we will be live. So head over to our YouTube channel or our Twitter and
the only
hop in and watch. And
the only way that doesn't happen is if the NCAA lets me sit in on the selection committee and just watch. I'll sign an NDA. I will sign an NDA and never speak a word of it. I just want to watch. I just want to know. Like, I don't know how I'd do that because then I would want to get into bracketology more.
Yep.
Because I have seen it firsthand. You'd be like, no, they don't really. They literally said they don't care about this.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like, is that an unfair advantage? Not like I win anything.
Right.
Like, I don't
Right.
win anything.
Right.
It's like, but so unless they give me a let me sign an NDA and just show up and hang out in the room while they do it.
I don't think that's going to happen, though.
It could. So we will be live around 5:45-ish. And our hope is probably around, I don't know, sometime around 10:30, 11, because the games go pretty late. We're not going to stay up for all of them. They usually don't put like incredible games in the late slots.
Mm-mm.
But our goal is to do something live, short every night.
Yep. So Thursday,
Before
Friday,
most are
Saturday, Sunday of the
Yeah. So
tournament.
yeah. And then I guess on Sunday we'll go live, and that'll just be our episode for the week.
Something.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll put something out, and that one will probably be pushed to the podcast feed. But if you want to see those probably will not be pushed to the audio, just podcast feed. So you'll have to tune in live on Twitter or YouTube to see those. But our goal is to do something and talk about each day of games: Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So
Yep.
that's our plan. Hopefully we realize it. Hopefully we don't die. And that's always a risk. But
yeah,
I'm excited. I mean, this is my favorite time of the year. Like, this is better than Christmas.
Yep.
This just beats everything.
Yeah. It's an exciting time for sure. The clock is showing quadruple zero, so it's time for us to get out of here. Thanks for checking in on the State of Basketball podcast. We will see you live next week. And remember, in 49 states,
It's just basketball.